And there we go. We finally got a full belt of blast potions feeding down the line. Welcome back to Alchemy Factory, everybody. In the last episode, we got our lavender soap, or perfumed soap, produced. It is up and running, and our topaz up and running. In fact, it's running, both of them are running a little too well. Despite me making a small mistake on our perfume soap, we've already filled up the sales floor down below, and we have more than enough. So today, I wanted to work on the next tier, or the next few items and research. So here we are at level 7, and I would like to get to Venus for the new relic. But in order to make Venus, we need to unlock Brandy to make blast potions, right? So blast potions are used to make Venus, and to make blast potions, we're going to need to make Brandy. And this is pretty much everything we need to finish out Tier 7. We do have a fertile catalyst over here, which is a new fertilizer. But today, we're going to focus on the blast potions. So let's go ahead and start researching this Brandy. It's crafted at an alembic. So let's start by placing down an alembic and kind of get an idea of the numbers. Let's see, an alembic has got to be heated, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, there we go. Alembic, and oh, I can't set the recipe yet because it hasn't finished unlocking. That's right, I always forget that. So then once that's done, we're going to start research on blast potions. There we go, that just finished. So Brandy is made from Coke powder and fruit wine. Okay, fruit wine's not going to be a problem. We're making tons of it up there in the thermal extractors, and it's coming down on these pipes. I believe it's on this last pipe right here, which we've not connected and turned on, so we'll need to remember to do that. And then Coke powder is a fairly simple one. You just grind coal ore. So we'll need to put down a grinder or stone crusher. I always mix up the names of those. So stone crusher, put in our coal ore. That will give us coal, and then we need to heat that. We'll just lift it up to get an idea of what we need, and then crucibles. A crucible turns that coal into coke, and then a grinder would turn it into coke powder. So we just need to balance out the numbers. We're just setting down everything to kind of get an idea of what we need to do here, and then we'll balance out the numbers once we kind of figure that out. So, okay, that's all we need for Brandy. That doesn't seem difficult. We'll have to set up a coke powder build and input it with our fruit wine coming from up there. Okay, so that's going to give us Brandy. Now that our blast potions are done researching, this is crafted at an advanced blender. So let's grab one of these guys. There's a blender, advanced blender, okay. And this one's got 2 belt inputs and 1 pipe input. So the pipe is going to come from the Brandy. And then it's going to need 2 belts. Let's see what it needs. It needs black powder and oblivion essence. Black powder we're already making. Actually, I think we're making it right here, aren't we? Yeah, because I've got some to take down to the sales floor. And it's running along as our main fuel along this whole floor. I'm even sending it, well, no, I'm not. It's just on this floor. I do have another machine making black powder up there, feeding everything for fuel. So what blast potions is going to basically do, oh my gosh, it's huge. So currently our heat value for black powder is 3,600, but blast potions heat value is 28,800. So I don't even know. Is that 8 times more efficient than black powder? I have to sit down and do the math. But yeah, something like eight times more efficient fuel source. It does craft a little bit slow. Like, what's our output on black powder? We're doing 4 machines, and they're getting 40 each. This also outputs 40 each if you fill the machine up. Okay, so we can essentially achieve the same output. I don't know what the balance is going to be, but so let's work on the oh, and then Oh, see, so black powder. Okay, black powder. We're already crafting it over here, but I quickly kind of get an idea if we want to set something up differently or just pull it off of this line. So we're making brine here, or excuse me, lime water and sulfur powder. Sulfur powder and brine water along with charcoal powder to make the black powder. Okay. So I think it's going to be simpler just to pull it off of this line, but I don't know. We'll think about it. I think we've got plenty on this line. It's almost always, yeah, this belt is almost always full. Probably just going to be easier to pull it off of that, because we are making 160 a minute, which is, I think at base speed, that's 40 a minute. But, all right, so the last thing is Oblivion Essence, and I don't really know how to craft that. We've not fooled with this at all. Let's take a look at it. It says it is crafted at a Paradox Crucible, which I think we've unlocked at like tier 6. Oh, we unlocked it at tier 7. Okay. So a Paradox Crucible is a heating device that refines any material into Oblivion Essence. Any material into Oblivion Essence. So let's take a look at this. That any material thing seems weird. Nope, that's not it. That is a Paradox Crucible is what we want. Ah, we cannot set a recipe. Huh. Okay, so I'm going to have to play around with this and figure this out. Black powders should be fairly easy. I think I'm just going to pull it off the belt. We've got to figure out our numbers on our brandy, and let's see what it's going to take to fill a belt. Let's just say we're going to shoot for 60 a minute at base speed. Let's just try and fill a whole belt. We're producing 40 a minute, and so for us, that would mean our belt speed is 240. So that would be 6 of these, if that's right. The math is right. Yeah, 6 times 4 is 24. Yeah, so 240 a minute is what we can fit on one belt. So we'll need to fill up 6 blenders. Because moving forward, I think I would like to use this fuel to replace our black powder as a fuel. So eventually, this would be fed by itself. Well, no, I guess we're going to have to keep black powder up to feed it. But fuel everything else on the blast potions, everything around the whole factory, I think, ideally could be powered off these blast potions instead of the black powder. Might be the best way to go. But yeah, let me sit down and figure out all the math on this, see if we can get a full belt of this, because I think it's going to be an important new fuel source moving forward. Okay, I started laying everything out just to kind of get an idea of what we're going to be working with here. All right, so we want 6 advanced blenders to fill a full belt with our blast potions, all right? For 6 advanced blenders to make blast potions, we're going to need black powder made in 12? 12 advanced blenders making black powder. Well, we've currently making 4 over here. So we've currently got 4 set up, so we'll need to effectively triple that build. Although it will be easier because we won't be using a quicklime build like this to make the quicklime water, or the lime water. We're going to be pulling our lime water from up there, and I will need to check the numbers to see if we are making enough, because, what was that, 12 times 3 is what we need, so it's 36,000? I think we're making more than that, so we should be good on that. If not, we can add more thermal extractors up there. So, which means we're going to need a ton of charcoal powder and a ton of sulfur powder. And that's not counting anything else, but so this is going to be, we can delete this, and let's set up something to start getting an idea of what we need for everything else here. That's the first input, the black powder. Now we need to set up something for brandy and Oblivion Essence. Okay, let's see if we can come up with a build for those. All right, this is what I've got for brandy. it's a little ridiculous at the numbers we need, but essentially, the way it works out, we need 5 alembics making brandy to feed 6 advanced blenders to make a full belt of blast potions. Again, I am going for a big build. I understand it's going to be expensive and it's going to take a while to get up off the ground. But so what is essentially happening here is we're going to load these with our coal. And all 3 of these grinders, these crushers, are going to turn that coal into that coal ore into coal. It's going to run through, here, it's easier to show you on this side for this one. I've got a stone furnace with stacked crucibles, and it gives me a chance to make it a little more compact that way. The stacked crucibles will stack on top of each other, whereas the regular ones will not allow you to stack them. So you can fit this into a much tighter space, whereas before, with regular crucibles, we need 6 of these, and that would have meant 3 across 2 different furnaces. Would have made the build a lot bigger, right? So we were able to squeeze this down into a little bit more compact space. All of those are going to run through 6 grinders, the enhanced grinders. So essentially I'm just taking them across and putting them through the grinders, and that's going to turn our coke into coke powder, and then all of the coke powder, which is exactly 60 a minute at base speed. For us, it's 180, but all of that is going to hit this one belt and feed into 1 alembic. So this giant machine is literally just feeding 1 alembic for our coke powder. A little bit crazy to make brandy, but all in all, this is not going to be bad. It is we are saving a lot of space with our thermal extractors up there, so it should not be a problem. I'll just need to make sure we're making enough fruit line, connect everything up, and get the pipes down here. But this is an idea of what we need for brandy production. We're going to need 5 of these setups to feed 6 of these blenders. Now, that is 2 of the inputs, right? Well, we haven't finished this input. Essentially, we need to get charcoal powder and sulfur powder for that one, but let's try and see what we need for Oblivion Essence now. This is a weird one, and I think it's going to take me a little while to figure out how to get, how to make it, because you can't set a recipe, and it just says you can make it from, like, any item, so I'm just, like, I'm wondering, what sort of items could we use? So let's just take a storage box, for instance, and let's just see, like, what happens. I need to fuel it. I've got a little coal on me. Like, what would work? What could we put in here to make the product? I don't really have many waste products, but let's just, let's toss in wood planks. Okay, so wood planks will make it, but it makes 0.16 a minute. So to get 40 a minute, I'd need like 100 of these? I don't know. That can't be right. That doesn't seem like that's going to work. Oh my gosh, and it went through that fuel really fast too. Wow. Okay, I'm going to have to sit down and go see what I can figure out for this, because there's obviously a better way of doing it. Actually, let me try. Do you think if maybe we used a different material? Man, that thing rips through fuel. Wow. All right, this is what I've come up with. Actually, I haven't finished this yet. It's still kind of a work in progress, but what I think I need to do is snap down 1 more of these. If my math is right, this should work like this. All right, so then I need a, belt to feed fuel in here. And what we're going to use is a nursery. I tested a few things, and then I got frustrated with it, and I went and looked up. There is a website. I will post it down in the description. There's a website that helps you calculate these things, like what sort of items you can shove into the Paradox Crucible to get your Oblivion Essence, and how much of it you need, kind of what is some of the more efficient items to use. And So yeah, I cheated. I looked at a guide for it because there's a calculator for it. And so what we're going to use is lavender. It's just seemed to be the simplest way to do it. And if I could find a nursery here in my menu, I will put one down. Nursery, okay. And I don't guess it really matters where I put it because I'm going to use one nursery and I need to put one lavender seed in it. We're going to feed this with blast potions. I'm sorry, growth potions. We just gained a new skill point. Cool. And then this is going to feed essentially all of these. Make sure that's right. Yes. This is going to feed all of these. The numbers work out that one nursery of lavender can feed all of these. It's not exactly perfect, but the numbers do work. It will produce a full belt, 60 a minute. Lavender comes out, and once you've got enough of these paradox crucibles, which in my case it works out to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 8 of them doesn't fill up a full belt, but 9 of them does, and we will get a full belt of our Oblivion Essence. Sorry, this one was a bit of it kind of melted my brain here. So we are going to get a full belt of Oblivion Essence, which is exactly what we need to feed 6 of these. So it's kind of absurd. It's kind of an ugly build. I understand that, but it's as symmetrical as I could make it. And it's all being fed off one nursery, so it's not terrible. The only thing is this is going to use a tremendous amount of fuel. So this will eventually have to be fed off of its own blast potions to keep it running for like a fuel source. Oh, speaking of, I need to connect this one to a fuel source like that. So what I'm essentially going to do is have fuel coming in either from this side or from the other side. We can do it either way, whatever works. Feed fuel in there, and then we'll take... I'm putting these in the wrong spot. We'll take our outputs, which are right here, and just drop them to the floor or wherever we need them. Yeah, like that. So then our outputs would come out like this, and then we just copy this, paste it over each one, and we're going to end up with a full belt of outputs, so something like that. Alright, that is Oblivion Essence and Brandy. Now we just need to make enough black powder. So this is how many blenders we're going to need. Now we are already using 4, and I think once this is up and running, we will not be pulling fuel off this. So this will balance itself given enough time, because we're not going to be using the fuel off of this. Once everything is up and running, all of these machines will be running off of their own blast potions. So we really only need 8 of these. So 8 assemblers worth. I don't know. It may just be easier to make it on its own machine. Make it to where it runs 12. Let me sit down and do the math on this number. This is a whole new thing I've got to do math on now, and let's see what we can come up with for this. Oh my goodness, I think I got it. Okay, so what I essentially ended up with, this is crazy, I know, but let me copy and paste these, cut them. So what I've got, well, this is not going to be the final thing, but to feed 12 advanced blenders, which we are going to go with 12, I decided that I've got the space and that I should just, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. That's 12. To feed this correctly and balance it all perfectly so it'll work on any belt system, as long as, of course, your upgrade points in logistics efficiency and factory efficiency match. Right? No matter what your levels are, as long as they're the same level. If they're both level 10, it works. If they're both level 2, this recipe works. If they're both level 0, it works, right? Doesn't matter. So that's what I always shoot for, so that I could, I find it easier to balance things that way if I think about it in those numbers. But anyways, so what we need, these is charcoal powder. And I basically numbered all of my recipes in a way and put a little description in there so I know exactly how many I need to build for each one. So, for instance, charcoal powder. It produces 60 a minute at base speed, and I need to produce them 1-to-1 with the blender. So if I have 12 blenders, I got 12 of these machines making charcoal powder. Essentially just table saws, making log, or cut them into planks, feeding into a couple of stone furnaces and crucibles. And yes, I probably could have made this build a little more compact with stackable crucibles. Now that I think about it, I may need to revisit this one, because with stackable crucibles, I probably could have shrank this build down a little bit. But it might have been a pain to get the table saws in. I didn't think about that, but yep, that's what I got. And then the other input for these is sulfur powder. And for sulfur powder, we are going to need 6 smelters, blast furnace and smelter setups to make our sulfur powder. So sulfur is going to come out the top here. We're going to feed these with the pyrite. We're going to get the iron as a byproduct. Again, we're just going to go into the trash. I don't know. Maybe the iron or iron powder would be a better thing to put into the paradox crucible to get stuff. I don't know, especially consider how much we're going to be getting. Now that I literally just thought of that. So maybe that's something we can play around with and see if that's... So we're not throwing it all away. Maybe there's a way we could balance it with the paradox crucible. I don't know. I find oftentimes when you try to balance those things, things get weird. In fact, I tried to over here, and as you can see, I gave up. After trying it for a while, my iron ingots are just sitting here. I gave up. It didn't work. But anyways, so we're going to need 6 of these set up, which is a total of like 24 iron smelters to produce enough sulfur powder. But all in all, that's everything we need to make a full belt. Alright, so now I just got to piece all these machines together, get all the inputs and outputs all belted together, make sure my liquids are turned on upstairs, get it all down, plug in all these machines, and let's get this build wrapped up.
One eternity later.
Alright, so far so good. I've got a couple of the machines set up here. This is our brandy. So we've got, I went upstairs, turned on the fruit wine, and I've got the fruit wine coming off this line right here, feeding into all of our brandy machines. So this is going to produce the brandy we need. It is being fed with purchasing portals off the back. I've got coins on the bottom line, and then we just need to feed fuel in off of the front right here. So this one is just about done. I think probably the easiest way is just take fuel, output it right here from that line. Eventually we will change this to run off of blast potions, but for now our best fuel is the black powder. Actually, I don't want to connect it just yet, because I don't want to be burning all that fuel and wasting money until we get it all set up. And then the next ones here, this is going to be our charcoal powder to start making this black powder. All right, so we need brandy, which we've got, black powder, which is almost completely set up, and then we'll need the Oblivion Essence right here. So I'm going to try and squeeze this sulfur powder in right here, and it looks like it'll fit just fine. I was just kind of testing everything for space, and then we'll need to feed both of those inputs, the charcoal powder and sulfur powder, into these 12 blenders, along with lime water, to get our black powder, and then we just combine the black powder, the brandy, and the Oblivion Essence into our final build. So put down a few more purchasing portals and get this last few things set up here. Alright, just about ready to wrap this black powder build up here as part of our build here. So I've got all 6 of my sulfur powder builds done and all of the charcoal powder builds done. And again, these were 1-to-1, and so I just put the blenders down right in front of them and just snapped them straight in. And then we'll just take this sulfur powder and we need to feed it into each of these, but we're also going to need to hop over each line. So what I think is probably going to be the best solution is to go like this. And so I probably want to pick this line up, one, so that it doesn't cross over into any other lines. That would probably be the best way, yeah. So let's just snap in these lifters to take the product down into each machine. We can't do it that way. I just realized we've got to leave room for the pipes as well. Oof. Okay, so we got to think about that a little bit differently. So that means that I probably need to remove all of these pipes, belts right here, so that we can get the sulfur in on the lowest level, because we got to make room for the pipes to feed in. In fact, I may want to do the pipes first so that I've got room for everything else. Yeah, let's get our lime water in first. So lime water should be this belt back here. Yep, that is our lime water. All right, so if that is going to be right here approximately, so we need to get it out this way and then about one more over. Come on, move over. Well, I think that's close. Let's see if it'll follow us out here. Something like this. And if we keep it high up and drop it into the machines, I think that's going to be what we want. Dang, I can't quite get this where I want it. Maybe if I'm above it, I'll be able to see it a little better. Let's go to right here. I think that's what I want. Now, let me test one to see. Actually, I wonder if it would be easier to run it from here, hit T, and just drag it up. Oh, I got it right! Nice, nice, nice. Okay, let me clean that up right there, obviously. And snap in the rest of these. We're getting close to done here. Whew! Okay, got the pipes hooked up, finally. Now we should be able to figure our belting here. So we are going to need to run... whatever belt goes in right here has got to be on the bottom. So I think that means we need to change all of these to run like that. Yep. We're going to do that. All right, let's delete all of those and then fix those belts. And then this one will just jump across. Shouldn't be too hard. Just take me a minute to redirect everything. Okay, one step closer. That is our black powder line set up, and we should have lime water flowing in. Just wait. I think we're waiting on this pipe to fill up now. And then I've got to connect fuel to everything. We should have all of our... purchasing portals are up and running. We just got to connect fuel to everything. So something like this, I think, would work. I'm just going to hold off on putting fuel into everything until we are ready to turn everything on at once. Last thing, that is our brandy and our black powder. The last thing is the Oblivion essence, and then piping the final outputs into everything. And I'm thinking of how I want to route this. What are we going to get on output for these guys? It's just going to be coming out of a pipe, so we don't have to worry about a belt for that. We can just run these on, like, one line. Oh, one line coming out of these. Do I not have that? Oh, I went the wrong direction. There we go. Like that. That's what I want. Snap in there. There we go. Alright, so that's brandy. Black powder is in this line. The outputs will come out on this. And now we'll probably have to think about the numbers on these, because this is going to be 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. It's going to be 2 belts worth. So I will need to essentially connect 6 of these into one belt, and then 6 of these into a second belt. So that means we're going to need to split these into 3 and 3s. So have 6 of those feeding 3 and 6 more feeding 3. Final little steps here. Let me iron out how I'm going to get the inputs and outputs for this machine to feed in, and we are wrapping this one up. Alright, I am just about done here. Let's get the last couple of conveyor belts in, and we can start fueling everything. This is going to be fuel for this one. I think we're ready. Oh, I need outputs. The outputs need to come out of here. There we go. Now I've got everything set up here, and I think we're about ready to add fuel to everything. That is our Oblivion Essence. Now we've just got to connect everything into this final advanced blenders here. So what I think I'm going to do is I need 3. I'm going to leave myself enough space here. So 3 will feed off of 6 of these. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Well, nope. Let's take it like this. That'll be 1 belt. And I can actually do 2 outputs like this. Might actually even be a little bit better. And so then we snap these in like something like this. And then the same thing for these. Oh. I think I placed that one in the wrong spot. Nope, that looks good. No, it is in the wrong spot. No. I am snapping the belt in the wrong spot. There we go. 2 of those. Let's go with 2 of these. And those blenders are probably going to be a little bit too close because we need to get 1 more belt and a pipe in right here. So I probably need to back these up 1 square. I just kind of want to get an idea of where I need them all. Delete these so I can just copy and paste these guys. And I'm going to go ahead and move them back 1 more square just to make sure we've got enough room. Because we do need this input right here to feed down and into each of those. Yeah, so let's do it like that. Let's back all these off 1 square. And move these guys out to here. Like that. Oh, 1 more. And now just snap in our belts. There we go. Now this belt right here is going to be the tricky one, but if we pick it up and drop it in, I think I'm going to have the same issue I had on these, is that the belt is going to be in the way of the pipe. The pipe is going to be in the way of the belt, so I probably should run my pipe first. Let's do that. Let's just grab this one and bring it out to where we need it. About right here. Turn the other direction, though. That right there looks good. Let me just run it down the length that we need now. Where are you going? There it is, there it is, there it is. Alright, something about like that. Yep, that's a bit too much, but we can just click these to remove the extra. Kind of helps to be above these looking at them, I found. Alright, now, if we hit T, we should be able to drop these into each machine. Get in there. The last thing I want is... Oh, no. Stop doing that. What are you doing? Oh, these pipes can be frustrating. All right. Get it close and then get the final snap. Yep, sometimes that works better. Just get it close and then get the final snap in. That one, however, went swimmingly. Oh, now they're going to all make me look like an idiot. They're all just going to snap right in. Okay. Like I said, it helps to get above sometimes to get these pipes to just to play right. There we go. There's our pipes. Now it'll be easier to get our belts in because we know we cannot use a lifter right here, but we can use a lifter from back here if that makes things any easier. Alternatively, we could rearrange this belt to feed each one, but I think I can do this. Let me just come up with a little bit of a solution here. Oh, I know what I do. I lab stand. That's what I do. Just drop it across this whole line, and we need it to end right there, and then we put our lifters paying out from each one, for each line. So one there, there's 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and then we just pick this line up. Run it that way. Like that, and then just run this belt all the way across. And boom. Now we need our final belts to snap into each machine. Oh, look at that. That pipe snuck in there. Oh my gosh, we're almost done. This has been a long build. Of course, you know, I am being quite ambitious with this build, trying to build a full belt of blast potions, but we've done it. Now all that's left is to clean up my mess, turn on all the machines, or I guess fuel all the machines, and get this thing fired up. Let's do it. One thing I almost forgot is my final output, and I am going to try and get it on the main belt. So what I need to do is something similar. Let's just run lab stands across this, and we'll lift it. Let's put a block right here. I think I just want to lift it up and over. Oh, that's not what I want. Pay input at the bottom and run it above that. And then this will pay our blast potions across the line. And then what I would like to do is feed all of these machines off the blast potions, because it is going to take quite some time for all of our fuel to get into these. Because we're not quite making enough black powder, if I'm being honest, to get all this up and running. It's going to take it a few minutes. But I guess that gives us a little bit of time to get our outputs going. There's a few of them already on the line, and then what we'll do is just replace our black powder with those blast potions for fuel once they all kind of get to where we need them. All right, need a belt running here, and then we just snap that in there, and then this is going to be our new fuel line. Just kind of had to kickstart everything with what we had, and then this is going to be our final fuel line. Let's run it out to right there. We can continue it as needed, but now what we're going to do is delete this. I didn't need to delete all of that, did I? You think about how I need that. Like that. And then we'll pick it, pay it out there. And that is going to start using the first blast potions that roll down the line. They will flow into this machine first, and then further on down as we get, I will start replacing all of these with the new blast potions to fuel everything. And there we go. We finally got a full belt of blast potions feeding down the line. It took a long time, actually. 30, maybe 40 minutes of me just sitting here going back and forth, grabbing black powder and hand feeding these machines over here. These furnaces with the paradox crucibles. These things rip through fuel. And until we could get the line fully loaded, they just chewed through every bit of black powder we had. You cannot run these on black powder without hand feeding extra. Unless you're producing a massive amount of black powder, I don't know how you could ever get that done. You literally have to feed these off the blast potions that this line is running. But now we've got the blast potions up and running. We got a full belt going, and we can now take this and send these blast potions anywhere we need. Oh, we don't need that. Anywhere we need throughout the factory, up a floor, down a floor, wherever we need to go. We've now got our new fuel, and it's way more efficient than the black powder. Blast potions is the future. That's going to wrap up this episode, though, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you're new to the channel, you should subscribe so you don't miss a future episode. Hit that thumbs up button if you like the video. It lets me know you enjoyed the content and you'd like to see more. And we'll see you next time. Thank you so much for watching.